Hi everyone, we want to start with some warm-up questions. So first of all, who of you writes tests to your code? Hands up, please. Yeah, really nice. And who of you writes tests in Kotlin already? Also nice. And who of you was on Dennis' presentation, the session before? Okay, we see that you are really interested in writing tests in Kotlin. So here we are. I'm Paulina.
I'm Greg. We are from Intiv from Poland.
And Intiv is a software house that is based in Europe. We've got many offices in many locations in Poland, but also in Germany. We're in Berlin, Munich, and Regensburg. And in our work, we develop many different projects. It were instant messengers, also automotive apps, and VOD players.
Okay, so today agenda will start from spec framework, and we'll try to compare it a little bit with Kotlin test. After that, a word about expect library and small movie bonus. So Kotlin test is actually not a library, but it's a testing tool. It provides own assertion, but also we can use different assertions library like Cluent or others, and it works very well with Android projects.
On the other hand, we've got Spec, which is a specification framework that is called by its creators, and it's implemented as JUnit test engine fully in Kotlin, dedicated to JVM. You can test Java code, also Kotlin code, and it is developed by people who work for JetBrains, but also by some externals. But it's not officially supported by JetBrains yet. So you may ask why you should use specification frameworks. What does it give us? Both frameworks we are talking about allows you to use BDD structure, so given when done, but it's not necessary. Other than that, we achieve readability in our tests. You can use normal sentences, normal English sentences, instead of reading underscored, chained test names. It is definitely more descriptive, because with each nested block, we are precising better our test cases. This is also easier to follow, because tests can be grouped. The other advantage is that the specification is executable, so you can run it, you can check if code matches specification. And this is a live thing, so it develops along with the project and product.
Okay, so probably a lot of you have similar tests in Java in your projects, and it's, in my opinion, a little bit ugly and unreadable. So today we'll try to show you a different way how you can improve readability of your tests. Okay, installation at the beginning. So in Kotlin test is very straightforward. You have actually add only one line to your Gradle files and everything should work fine. And I will talk today about Kotlin test, but not about JetBrains Kotlin test, because JetBrains provides as a standard assertion library, and it's a different thing.
Yeah, and in Spec, if you want to use it for your Kotlin project, you need two upper dependencies. The third one is just additional to use experimental features. You'll probably ask us, how about Android projects? So for Kotlin tests, it's easy, but I had some problems configuring Spec for Android. It's because it is mentioned in manual of Spec that we should use Jack toolchain, but with Android Studio 3.0, which is already in preview available, Jack toolchain is deprecated. After spending many hours finding the right configuration and right version between JUnit and Spec, I did it and I succeeded.
Kotlin test provides us 7 styles for our test. Today I will talk a little bit about 3 of them. It will be string spec, feature spec, and behavior spec.
And in spec, we got one base class. It is called spec. It covers most of the styles that are in Kotlin test. And there are two more classes that are experimental feature, and I will also describe them.
For start, something very easy. It will be a hello world test. So in Kotlin test, we have to extend one of these styles class. In that case, it's stringspec. And we, as a parameter, we have to pass a lambda with our tests, or we can do it also in init block. And how we write in test, we just creating a string at its test name and test description in the same time. And inside brackets, we adding our test. So there is no function, and that's very clear.
Yeah, and in spec there is just one option. We need to pass lambda in a constructor parameter, but we don't need to create a class. It can be just an object extending spec. You can see here, as a simplest example, a block it, which is just a function, and that would be executed as a single test. So this is the smallest example of test in spec. And for the next slides, I want to give you some context. So our examples are like on something live. And we've chosen a simple guessing game. It is called Hangman. It is a game for 2 or more players. One player thinks of a word. Let's call it a password. So password length is known via dashes or underscores that are on the board. And the rest of players tries to guess the password, suggesting letter one by one. And with every wrong answer, player 1 draws next body part of a hangman. And when the drawing is completed, that means the rest of players failed. They can also guess a password and thus win a game. And we assume that at maximum there are 9 wrong answers possible.
Next, Kotlin test styles is a feature spec. So again, we have to extend feature spec class in that case. At the top of the lambda, I creating new game object with microwave password. And as name call us, we will test feature here. So our feature will be letter verification. And inside feature block, we can add our scenarios. So it will be correct letter suggested or wrong letter suggested.
Okay, and how will we describe a feature using spec? So again, we extend spec class, create our tested object, then we call describe function, again with description as a string, and inside we put our test. That means it blocks. So instead, like in Kotlin test, there was feature scenario, we've got describe it structure.
Next style is a behavior spec, is BDD structure-oriented test style. And again, we have to extend behavior spec class. We're creating a password and BDD structure based on given when then block. So we have given when then function here. So in given function, we can add our description, and in Kotlin, we can add string password like that. OK, so in given block, we're creating a new game. When game is created, then has 0 wrong answers, yeah? And when we'll, again, one more then block, and when we'll run it, we have very nice and very readable output.
OK, and describing a behavior using spec. So to keep the long story short, it is the same as on the previous slide. So instead of given when then, we've got given on it structure, and the rest is exactly the same. But there is another option in spec. We can use subject spec, and what's so special about that? We've got subject block in which we define how our tested object would be initialized and constructed. And for each test, a new instance of our tested object would be created. So let's see a full example. Here are two tests, and each of it block will receive a new instance of our game. And we refer to this instance using a field subject. Yeah, and if we run it, then we've got some nice results. And let's say we want to extend our simple game. For example, adding some fancy UI to it, or maybe adding some zombies. So we've got zombie hangman class, which extends our game. And this time, we use shared subject. The most important part is using it behaves like. It's the function to which we pass our base specification. So it is the subject game test from the previous slide. But this time, tested object would be subject from this class, which is zombie hangman instance. So two tests from the subject game test would be run for zombie hangman. And we've got one additional thing to check. It's that after maximum wrong answers reached, we should display a scary image. And if we run it, if we run the test, then we've got some nice results again. Not only the zombie hangman's test, but also the other from the subject game test class. But few more words about scopes in spec framework. You already know given and describe, but there are also two others, like group and context. What's so special about them? You can exchange them. You can use any word that you like, and you can also nest them how many times you like. But we've got also a scope on, which should contain an action, and the only nested block within on can be it block, so the actual test. And there is also nice sugar from spec framework that we can use X prefix to exclude a single scope. But there is a spec plugin to Android Studio or IntelliJ, and it allows us to run single scope.
At the beginning, I show you this ugly Java test name, and I will show you how we can improve it a little bit. So I will use behavior spec for that. We'll put into given when then block. So in given, we have some player manager, for example. I broke this each underscore part to string, so it's a little bit more readable. Unfortunately, in Kotlin test, we cannot put a block inside the same block, so we cannot put when inside when. There's a limitation. But we can handle it in that way. And we have two checks, so should watch now and should adjust listener. And we can run it, and we have a very nice result again. And it can be very helpful when you have, for example, a new team member, and you don't have to tell about class responsibility because he can just run tests and have documentation here. Let's go to quick pros and cons about these two libraries. In Kotlin, tests, from my point of view, are very one line setup comparing to Nightmare in spec framework. No need to create functions, no annotations, and Kotlin test provides us a lot of test styles.
Okay.
From negatives, there is no possibility to put, for example, when inside when. There's a limit, and no possibility to run only one test case. We have to run whole class at one.
Okay, from spec framework, I really like that we can nest the scopes and use any assertion library we want. It could be Hamcrest, it could be Kotlin test, or expect the one that we will talk in a second. And so with the plugin, we can run a single scope. And yeah, as I mentioned, configuration was a nightmare, but you don't have to do it, as I already done it, and it's available in our repository.
Okay, a word about expect. So it's a session library. It's a very nice alternative for Fluent. Then I show how Fluent works. But if you don't like spaces, you like dots, like in Java, it's a very nice alternative.
And there are many functions and properties in expect that you can use. Some of them you can see on the right on the slide, and three in the last line, to be which, are a bit specific because they do not have any meaning, and there are here only to chain the words so that you can read it as a normal English sentence. And to construct an assertion, there are two options. First is that you use a should property. You call it on an object. It can be even a null. Or you can pass your value into expect function. But let's see some examples.
Okay, 3 examples for our Hangman game. The top one have regex. It's very nice if you want to check your strings, for example, some URL builders or so. And we can rate this test like a normal English sentence. So dash password should match some regex. Next one, checking our range for wrong answers. And we can add more than one test in one line. So we can chain our tests. And again, we can just read it. Wrong answers should be at least 0 and at most 9. The last one using expect function, and we can read it also expect wrong answers to equal 0. So it's very nice library. Okay, we promise you a small bonus. As probably a lot of you know, Kotlin names comes from island near Petersburg, but in Poland it's also a ketchup brand. So we'll show you how you can write unit test using Kotlin in 2 single steps. Let's watch it. Oh, something wrong with audio.
Can we have an audio first?
Okay, start again.
I'm going to show you how to write unit tests using Kotlin in 2 simple steps. First, take Kotlin and then write unit test. Kotlin. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Any questions from the crowd?
No.
Yeah, please come to the microphone, please.
Can you have multiple when statements, like
Yeah, you can
in
put
one block?
Yeah, you can put multiple when, but not when inside when. But in a given block, yes, you can do that.
Cool, thanks.
Else? Anyone else? Any more questions?
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
You have contact for us. We'll very appreciate it.